Hi, good evening. I'd like to welcome you back to Poem Praise 2. I do thank you for tuning in. And we are going to get right back into it. We're on take number 14. Okay? You ready? And it goes like this. The standard is that every black man who is on top of style must have an admirable piece of jewelry on his person somewhere. And it must be verifiable, real, meaning it must be gold, silver, or contain precious stones like diamonds, rubies, or emeralds. On the lower end, onyx, cornelian, or carnelian, ivory, agate, or amber is acceptable. The more unusual the design or assembly of stones, the more prized the piece is considered to be. The vie with each other is to be the most different. They make it a point to not want to own anything similar or just like each other. The younger black males often do the opposite. They make their alikeness in dress a kind of requirement for acceptance of each other. They perceive their alikeness in wardrobe to signify their unity of ideas about what is decent or all that, which are examples of some of the vernacular they made up themselves to communicate covertly to each other about approved items. Their search for an identity or identifying symbols is a desperate, pitiful one, just like their fathers. The black man's hair has also been an accessory to try to establish his identity. Certain groups have always assumed their own haircut style or beard shape or sideburns. A haircut is very important. Certain jobs they pursue have definite hairstyle requirements. The most the most consistent haircut and the one perceivably accepted in the majority of circles he frequents is the closely shaven one with low sides and a small amount on top with possibly a part on either side of his head. This is the conservative choice. However, they have experimented with many other styles like the process achieved by a lye-based chemical which straightens their hair and is then indented in rows and designed to simulate waves. Possibly a few curls in the pompadour top are just slicked back. They abandoned this one, mostly worn by entertainers, because it was too hard to maintain. They also adopted the afro hairstyle, consisting of wide, puffed out circles of hair shaped like a globe. Chemicals and sprays were also developed to maintain this look that they wore to identify themselves as being proud of their formerly disdained nappy or kinky hair. They agreed to voluntarily no longer try to chemically force their hair into looking similar to the straight or fluffy look of white males. Variations of the afro have survived through the years and are still somewhat acceptable as long as it is not too prominent in length. Black men wear braids or dreadlocks too. Other hairstyles they choose, like the jerry curl, consisted of a chemical that artificially made them have curly, shiny locks of varying lengths. This hairstyle required a lot of care, and yeah, it did. A lot of accessory products to keep it shiny and moist looking, and was greasy to the touch, and yeah, it was. This look had no radical, no radical identifying overtones, and just represented a trendy look inspired by hair salons and hair product manufacturers to capture the black dollars spent on permanent waves or in regular barbershops. The box hairstyle, created by more youthful black males, popped up a few years ago, conceivably attached to boredom and an attempt to be different. It started out short and got higher and higher and eventually started to look like a tall crown of sorts with the hair cut very close on the sides of the head. This no doubt gives many of them a subtle sense of royalty, of the wearing of a crown of sorts. Then came many variations of this cut, different slants, angles, and curves. Next came the procedure of shaving off portions of the hair in odd configurations, having several parts cut into the hair, unique designs, and even to having certain symbols or names carved into the hair to advertise or identify with individual ideals or interpretations. Even adult black men commenced to get several parts nearly carved into their hair. Others attach no much meaning to having a head of hair, that they wear wigs on top of a bald spot. Even more modernly, they get hair waves, while women can get away with fooling bystanders about the length or texture of her hair. A man cannot. Every black man who wears a hairpiece or has a hair weave is spotted immediately. Some wear them like extra hat because their present recognizable or not uplifts their confidence and makes them feel equal. They spend a great deal of money and time selecting expensive smelling aftershave, lotions, and talcums. Their wardrobe standard requires they wear a name brand fragrance. Whatever the popular or expensive brand is in, the one they seek out to splash themselves with. Some of them wear more Eastern fragrance found in body oils. They use many cosmetic attached to shaving. They even use liquid or pancake makeup, which they also think is unnoticeable, but they use it anyway to make others think that they have smooth, creamy looking skin. They also use the cut of their mustache to project their individual image. Other black men decide to wear their hair long or in flamboyant styles, or the jagged mop-like dreadlock hairstyle, long or short. All of these looks are attempts to make a statement that express their position, either about their blackness or sophistication. It has not worked. They have established certain looks and behaviors to designate themselves as having ideals and culture of their own. It's interesting to note that their symbols are transferable. If a white male shows up in the circle who has studied how to look, dress, talk, walk, and dress black, he is apt to be accepted in the group based on his identification with the symbols the black man has established as qualifiers for inclusion. The technique of copying symbols is also used by blacks who desire to function among whites and receive acceptance for their ability to display and mimic the symbols inherent in white life. Black men do not arbitrarily oust other nationalities from their groups, especially if that person can fit in by being the same as them. They will even start to refer to the white male in their midst as a brother, by virtue of his physical actions or sounds. Many of them refer to whites by the term brother, even if they do not function as to resemble their symbols. They do this to remind white males that they are related and to remind themselves that they are the same. Black men answer any questions as a white man may walk up to them and ask. They give all the information they know about any given subject when called upon. It's almost automatic for them to quickly respond, dressed up or not. The latest trend among black males is to seek out ethnic items to denote their pride in their blackness. They are great advertisers. They delight in wearing garments advertising Reebok, Nike, Adidas, Fila, Puma, or other popular names, just as much as they do in wearing a strip of kente cloth, a fez hat or fees hat, a kufi, an African pendant, Pan-African colors, or red, black, and green, or an attire African costume. They are strictly dealing with symbols which they define as having identifiable meanings, or so they think. The resurgence in African clothing and African products really only represents a change in fashion and is a profitable trend for manufacturers. T-shirts stating political or amusing statements are now popular because they let the black man wear a sign which supposedly announces his identity or position. Some of them wear T-shirts boldly and printed with vulgar sentences or words or pictures. They do not see them as offensive and consider themselves brave for taking the challenge of wearing a sign. They are trying to make an identity for themselves. They already have an identity, but they reject it because it requires them to change the way they think and live. They are too mentally lazy to attempt this, so they continually rely on external shields they can wear and forget about. To further the gossip regularly circulated about their mythological grandiose, I'ma spell it, Grandiose, sexuality. Many black men purposely select clothes to articulate their sexual presence. They try to formulate identity by wearing shirts half open to the waist, revealing their chests. They walk down the street in biker shorts, displaying the outline of their penis. They might wear tight swim trunks and choose to draw attention to the imprint of their sex organ. Some just choose to walk around with no shirt on at all, in short shorts, to display their bodies and hopefully their virility. Black women use clothes to look better. Black men use them to feel better. These days, modern surgical technology makes it possible for the black man to make physical, cosmetic changes in his looks. He can get a nose job and change the shape or size of his beak. He can have his ears pinned back. He can have his lips trimmed and his eyes widened. He can reconstruct his entire face, including his eyes with contacts, to look as much like a black European as possible. These are vain actions that further demonstrate his dissatisfaction with himself. Few black men have their nose made flatter or wider, and none desire to have their lips enlarged. And with that, I'm going to actually end this take on take number 14. I'm going to come right back at you with take number 15 because we almost done with chapter 3. I'm looking at it. See? Yeah. Wait, can you see it? Yeah, we almost done with chapter 3. Yeah, because here comes chapter 4. About to get ready to get into chapter 4. So, I hope you enjoyed that and stay tuned because, yeah, we're going to finish this chapter today and be thy will. So, I'm going to be right back at you in just a moment, okay? Until then, be blessed. Holla at you in a minute. Later, y'all.